right, to discuss this case, let's bring in Kristy Parker, counsel at Protect Democracy. She leads litigation to secure accountability for abuses of executive power and interference with government functions. Kristy, thank you so much for coming on today. We really appreciate it. First, what stood out to you about the arguments today?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I think what stood out to me was that this really was an argument in the highest court of our land about whether or not the President of the United States is subject to the laws just like everyone else, or whether there are special rules that apply to the president. And I think, as we all know, our system of government was founded on the principle that we have a president and not a monarch. So that question of whether the President of the United States is above the law really goes to the heart of whether that founding principle can be realized.
And the justices today, they really seem to kind of drill down on the question of whether the president was acting in a private capacity or in his official capacity. Can you talk to us more about that, explain the differences, and why this really matters?
Sure. So, yes, there was a lot of concern expressed today about making sure that the President of the United States, who is the highest official in the executive branch of our government and who's charged with all of federal law enforcement, has the ability to exercise his or her legitimate powers without excessive concern about being constrained by, bad faith actors in the legal process. And there was a particular concern expressed over what is the line between official actions, legitimate official actions of the president, and what are private actions. And no one expressed any sympathy for the idea that the president should have immunity for actions that are purely private or personal actions. The argument really boiled down to some questions around where do we draw the line between personal and official, and even beyond that, might there be some sort of a carve out, a narrow universe of official acts that are not prosecutable, as opposed to the wider range of official acts which every other federal official is subject to prosecution for if they intentionally violate the law.
Yeah, we're almost out of time, but I want to bring this up. Something that really stood out to us is what Justice Gorsuch said. He said that we are writing a rule for the ages. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, he seemed to be expressing some concern that they would be writing a rule that needed to anticipate all possible permutations of violations of the law by the president. And I think some of the other justices and the assistant special counsel wanted to really bring this back to the case in front of the court, because really in 234 years, we've never seen a prosecution of a former president. And that is largely because we have never seen actions by a former president like the ones that we saw by former President Trump, who was president at the time, in this case. So the question really came, one serious question that we have here is whether the court is going to try to look beyond this case and fashion a rule that applies to hypothetical situations, or whether they're going to just keep their eyes on the case directly before them and make a determination whether the actions Mr. Trump is accused of were official or personal.
Oh, Kristy, thank you so much for coming on and weighing in. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.